And the Indiana Fever have pulled off the upset, the 6th seed, beating Vegas 89-73 to take game.
All right, really nobody prayed for the Indiana Fever. ESPN commentators wrote them directly. Away. The odds makers were essentially giggling. Even the Las Vegas Aces, the two-time champs, anticipated a complete sweep. However, the Fever completely shocked everyone by winning Game 1 on the A's home court the night their star A'ja Wilson was named MVP. How, therefore, did a team that was missing 6 players turn the tide of the entire series with a single victory? What did Caitlin Clark say to her teammates following the game that has the league in a frenzy? This wasn't just any random upset, so stay with us. The statement was seismic. Tell us how proud you are of this amazing team in the comment section, if you're as excited about the Fever as we are. What, therefore, occurs when a club enters the playoffs with 6 important players out, no pundits giving them a genuine chance, and the two-time defending champions poised to strike? You now have the Indiana Fever's ultimate test of belief. Despite all odds, a night that was actually supposed to be someone else's coronation ended up becoming their unforgettable event.
Particular matchup, Aces Fever Game 1. We're not deciding the whole series right now, just Game 1.
Should we do it together?
I think we should do it together.
Okay.
Because my spidey sense are telling me they might be the same. 3, 2, 1.
Aces.
They're not going to lose after she just won MVP.
Yeah, period.
Everyone framed this series as a complete mismatch right away, don't they? Sports books had odds so wildly skewed that it was virtually simpler to wager on how many points Las Vegas would win than on Indiana actually winning a series, and ESPN panels essentially referred to it as short and predictable. It was even blatantly obvious in the headlines prior to the game. They discussed survival rather than triumph. The implicit message was very clear. The Aces were just supposed to glide to another finals. In some way, Indiana's escape from complete humiliation would qualify as a victory in and of itself.
Indiana Fever had no business winning a playoff series this year, had no business advancing to the semifinals for the first time in a decade, and yet here they are, eliminating the Atlanta Dream in Atlanta without Caitlin Clark, without Sophie Cunningham, without Sid Colson, without Erin McDonald, without Chloe Bibby. The hospital squad is on the bench, and yet the Indiana Fever are into the semifinals of the WNBA play.
The injury report followed, as if that weren't enough. A ruthless roster that has Sydney Cusson, Chloe BBY, Ari McDonald, Dyrus Dantas, Caitlin Clark, Sideline, and Sophie Cunningham out. All 6 names have been removed. The Fever didn't only appear to be lacking a few players. They appeared to be a cohesive unit held up by sheer duct tape. This was far more than only being the underdogs. Before the playoffs had started, people were referring to them as fortunate to be on the court at all, as though their season had already unofficially ended.
And then the coaching of Stephanie White. She is working with a 9-woman rotation, and 5 of those players did not even touch the court the last time the Fever played the Dream during the regular season, and 3 of those players weren't even on the team. I cannot say it enough. The Indiana Fever should not be here. They continue to be here. They battle. They're resilient. It's wildly impressive. Caitlin Clark wore the black Air Force Ones again. They had one of those forces lifted in the air like a beacon of hope, and now they'll face the
Imagine this sight just before tip-off in Las Vegas. With championship banners flying high and the audience energized and anticipating a huge celebration, Wilson Center Court will be awarded with her MVP trophy during the main event. This went beyond merely praising her extraordinary brilliance. It represented the whole story that everyone had anticipated. Indiana was reduced to a supporting role, while Vegas was the undisputed superpower. In their own semi-final debut, the players of the Fever weren't simply disregarded. They were essentially undetectable.
You actually just referenced it twice. It is Indiana. Dropped 2 of the 3 games to them this year, but you haven't seen them since late July. What excites you about that matchup?
That they haven't seen the releases yet. They caught us when we were a bit in turmoil. Not only that, they whooped us one of those stretches. So, you know what? We'll buckle in, hone in where we can, and take care of business.
This is the crazy thing about sports, though. They have this extraordinary ability to turning things around just when people's expectations are at their most inflexible. Throughout history, there have been many remarkable underdog runs. Teams were dismissed before they had ever set foot on the court. Teams that nobody believed had any business sharing a floor. These same analogies were simmering right here. This was more than just the beginning of a playoff series. For Indiana, the first game was their one and only opportunity to take a seat at the table and make it clear that they were here to fight. Furthermore, at the last buzzer, the whole pre-written narrative utterly shattered. The spotlight on A.J. Wilson's MVP moment suddenly dimmed because the Fever had completely stolen it, walking out of Las Vegas with an 8,973 win, their first semi-final victory in almost a decade, leaving the entire basketball world staring in total disbelief. But the real shocker didn't just come from the team as a whole. It came from one specific player who turned that night into her own personal masterpiece.
Respect everyone, fear no one. Woo! Sounds in the chat. Dub. That's one. Big time.
Even though everyone was watching A'ja Wilson win the MVP award, no one, expected Kelsey Mitchell to come along and dramatically change the course of events. Wilson's night was the planned event. The reigning champions go about their home business with ease. Before the ball ever tipped, the story was neatly pegged. However, Mitchell was adamant about making Indiana more than a passing reference. She created her own unique masterpiece out of that semifinal opener. Additionally, the league-wide dialogue had already drastically changed by the time the final buzzer sounded.
First semifinal appearance. Just what's your emotional state right now?
Normal, I think. It's practice. Trying to prepare like anybody else would, like any other day. But keep the main thing.
Without a doubt, Chelsea Mitchell has long been regarded as a top scorer. But let's face it, she is frequently referred to as a bit of an afterthought behind some of the WNBA's more well-known and ostentatious players. All of the talk going into this series was about whether Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray would really crush the Fever, whether A'ja Wilson would maintain her dominance, or even if Indiana could just stay on the floor. Mitchell was the only player mentioned as having the ability to completely change this contest. However, she provided the ideal response by letting her game speak for itself, speaking louder than any expectations or rumors about her, as she has done for a large portion of her career.